Hi, welcome back to another episode of Three Siblings Walk Into a Bar. I'm Storm, the youngest sibling.
I'm Shay, the oldest sibling.
And I'm Sage, the actual middle sibling. Why do you guys both want to be the middle sibling?
It's when you go
Both of
second,
them.
you're like trying to do it in order. So when you're going second, you're like, oh, I'm the middle. Wait, no, I'm not. Stop it. Stop. All of you.
The middle is
right now.
arguably the best anyway, so it's okay.
Oh my gosh.
I understand why you're jealous.
Speaking of, I always get these. I was watching a TikTok about siblings, and it was like the oldest sibling, and it was like, yeah, oh, you need a ride to the airport? Okay. Oh, at 5 o'clock in the morning? You have to be there at 5 o'clock? Oh, okay. Yeah. And then the middle sibling grabs the phone and they're like, why are you asking us to take you to the airport at 5 o'clock in the morning? Don't you know that people need to sleep? What were you thinking? No, we will not take you to the airport. And then the youngest sibling takes it and goes, we're all going to be sleeping. We'll buy you an Uber to take you to the airport. Thank you. Have a great day. And then they hang up the phone. They were like, what is wrong with both of you? Yeah.
Oh my God.
It was funny.
We thought we were special with our dynamic.
No.
Nope.
Oh man, that's so true.
Oh God.
So funny. God.
So TikTok, my TikTok has turned into Christmas TikTok.
Same.
And
Yeah.
Grinch TikTok. And I'm obsessed with the Grinch characters. Oh,
I love
so
them.
good.
They're so
Yeah.
funny.
It's so good. I want to go so bad.
To the
it's Universal,
ice.
right?
Oh, yes, the actual Grinch guy. Yeah, it's Universal.
Yeah.
But I think it's in California. I think it's Universal California, not
Is
Florida.
it?
Oh, okay.
I think so. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But you know that you can pay people.
The Gaylord.
Oh, the
Yes,
Gaylord.
the Gaylord.
They have
The
the
Grinch.
ice is the Grinch is here. But
Yeah.
you know you can pay people to come like ruin your Christmas decorations outside, like dressed as the Grinch.
Really?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, like they'll come out, they'll like let you know when they're on their way, and then you'll like go outside, and then the Grinch will come and start like kicking over your like inflatable stuff or like throwing
awesome.
your
That's
candy
amazing.
canes, you know? So
That's
funny.
awesome. So along those lines, typical middle kid fashion, I'm going to ruin the vibe real quick. There's someone called Wrinkles the Clown. Have you guys heard of this?
No, I don't want to.
It's from like 2017, 2018, but he would put stickers of his face up all over the place with his phone number. And you could call him and he would scare your kids for you.
Oh my God.
No.
Yeah. And so that's where the whole like the killer clowns being like out in public and stuff, that's where it started.
Oh
was
my
this guy.
God.
And
what
there's still
doofus.
stickers and like his phone number is all over there's a documentary about it.
Well,
I
I'm
watched
like,
the
that's how
documentary.
you
It's
get
really
shot.
interesting. Exactly.
Yeah.
But like at the end of the documentary, they show like he's working with the parents. He's like, okay, I'm going to be right here. This is where I'm walking in. This is where I'm going to end up. And so like, and there's voice calls and stuff. And it's like them leaving messages for him. And he's like, the parents are like, I'm going to call Wrinkles. And you can hear the kids like screaming. Like they used him as like a...
That is horrible.
Yeah, and that's what the documentary is about. Is this okay? Kind of thing.
Absolutely not.
Very interesting.
I would never. I would never.
No, not even close.
And I hope they were doing it at like their house, you know, like that kid's going to be forever afraid to be home.
Safe place.
Yeah. There was one where he like hid in the bushes and the family was playing a board game. And the mom was like, what is that? And they like all look out the window and the dad's videotaping. And then he comes running up to the window and everyone starts screaming and running. And the dad goes along with it, drops the phone and like runs with the family. And then you see the clown pick up the phone and like, and then he like turns it off.
Stop. I hate
terrifying,
it. I hate that so much.
No.
Don't ever ask me to do that. I swear to God.
Hard no.
The first thing that's going to happen is instead of shooting the clown, I'm going to call Sage and go, you dumbass, come over here right now. And then I'm going to shoot you.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to be like, I know this was you.
It was so interesting. But I never knew that's where that all started. Like the
no, either.
Yeah, I had no idea. It makes me think of Zombieland.
Mm-hmm.
When, because like they go into Bill Murray's house and they find Bill Murray dressed as a zombie.
Yes.
And so they go try to scare the kid, but then the kid ends up shooting him
Shooting
because
him.
he thinks it's a zombie. I'm like, oh my God. How
Very that.
dumb.
It would absolutely be that.
Oh my gosh. Oh, y'all, I can't. How was y'all's weekends and weeks? I guess it's been a whole week. I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's wild.
Oh, I can't keep up with
It was
it
good.
all.
It was busy.
Yeah.
It's starting
good.
to pick up again, which is
Busy.
amazing.
Yeah,
That's
you'll
good.
be way busy in January when everybody got their Christmas money.
Mm-hmm.
And then again in February when everybody has their tax return.
Yep. People dealing with their families this month, so they're like, just please help me. I'm like,
Yeah.
I got you.
Hurt me.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
my favorite
Lord.
clients are the ones that just text me and they're like, it's time. And I'm like, I know exactly what you need.
You're like, so
send me a picture. I mean, I don't know.
It's time. You were like, actually, it's not. I'm available on Wednesday.
If you would like to set an appointment with Sage Decay, please follow.
You just send them a link. And you're
Exactly.
like, fill this out. And then once I've approved it, it'll send you an email.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, Lord. I can't, y'all. All right. I got a fun one. Well, again, I hate saying that. Just ignore me when I say that. I don't mean it in any way.
I get it. I've said it too.
Yeah. Okay. I just know that there's going to be that one person that's like related to these people, and they're going to be like, "This is not
You
fun,"
asshole.
and I'm going to be like, "No, that's not what I meant."
Right.
Yeah.
But I got all of this. I watched an episode from Cold Case Files, which I totally forgot existed, and I totally forgot how much I love that show.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard this story before on other podcasts. It's fairly famous, but it's sad, but it's good.
Sweet.
Well, we're gonna enjoy it. It'll be a fun time.
Awesome.
Okay, so in Troy, Michigan, November of 1985, two friends, David Till and Brian Ogenjohn, they were really good friends.
Mm-hmm.
So they were, childhood best friends. They were best mans at each other's weddings. They were like your typical, like, best friends that were became brothers,
Mm-hmm.
So in November of 1985, they went deer hunting. They were driving to a cabin in the woods owned by David's family on a Friday night. They were going to meet up with David's brothers. All of them were going to go hang out. They were going to play cards, drink, shoot some deer, the bro things. Yeah. I'm like, I would like to do that too, minus shooting the deer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
like, is it bro stuff?
Yeah.
Or is it just like cabin stuff? Okay, so that Monday morning comes around and no one's heard from the two men. David's mother ended up calling his wife, and he told her that they never showed up at the cabin at all. So they were supposed to be there Friday, and then they just weren't there. So they obviously had been gone all weekend, and the wife immediately files a missing persons report. So this one's a little shocking to me, I guess, just because technically at that point they had been missing for over 24 hours or whatever the thing is. But they immediately put out a missing persons for both of them.
Really?
Yeah. Due to it being like hunting season and in the middle of the woods, the police were pretty certain some sort of accident had happened.
Yeah.
But all the officers were told, keep a lookout for their Bronco. They had a 1980 Black Ford Bronco. They also put the car out on the media, hoping that other people might recognize it if it was stuck on the side of the road or whatever. They'd be able to find it. There were quite a few people that had called in saying that they had saw that truck in Mayo Michigan, which is about 150 miles away from where the cabin was that they were supposed to end up at.
Hmm.
So this made the police think that the car's being used. It's being driven around because it wasn't where it was supposed to be. It's in a totally different city, and multiple people have seen it in different places. So it's being driven around.
Mm-hmm.
So they get to Mio, M-I-O, like the drink, whatever. So who knows? They go on a full hunt. They're trying to look in the woods there. They're trying to find this truck. They can't, they can't find it. It's not there.
Hmm.
So they start talking to the hunters that are around.
Mm-hmm.
No one's seen them. No one's seen the truck. No one's seen any kind of weapon, a body, like nothing. Nobody's seen them. They're just gone. So 2 years later, in November of 87, at this point, their story's kind of like a scary story in the town. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's heard about it. Everybody has their opinions on what happened to them.
Mm-hmm.
As you do
Mostly,
in a small town.
Yes.
Right.
So the most popular place to hear about this or talk about it or at all the local bars. Again, small town. Most of anything you have to do there is at a bar. A man had overheard a conversation and he immediately found it necessary to go tell the police what he heard. He chose to stay confidential, so I'm not really sure what his name is. I think if I went and like dug into police reports, I could probably figure it out. But I feel like if he didn't want it on the TV show, then he doesn't want everybody else talking about it. So, he was at a birthday party at a bar, not a ball, called O'Shea's. And at a table nearby, there were a bunch of men known as the Duvall brothers. They were also known as the local bullies. So they were the bad, the bad guys. You didn't double cross them. They were
stereotypical movie bullies. Mm-hmm.
Right.
So the man that was telling the story, that I don't know his name, his brother-in-law and father-in-law were talking to the Duvall men, sharing like shit stories and how, I did this once and that. And the brothers were going into great detail about all these fights they had been in. But they get to one story in particular where they were talking about beating 2 Michigan hunters. JR, which was one of the brothers, had been getting beaten up. He went home, told all of his other brothers, and 2 of them had come back to the bar and said they beat them to death. This is all bar talk. That's what they said.
Right.
The guy said one had quoted saying, "You should have seen one of their faces while we did the other one." Pretty much like while I was beating this one up, the other one's face was funny.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
They also said that they had taken them back to their farm, threw them in a pig pen, and fed them to their pigs.
Okay.
What? So everyone was scared of these brothers, right? Like you did not cross them. That was not a thing you did. Everybody knew that they were bad news. They all had prior convictions. So it was either stealing cars, poaching deer, or assaulting women. Nobody would talk to any detectives about them because they were so scared of them. So, of course, they heard this story and they're like, I need to talk to everybody, but everyone's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Who? The Duvall brothers. What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
After a while, the detective was able to get a few people to kind of start talking about it. One of the brothers had said there was a snake in the wood pile and they were trying to figure out who was talking to the police. But really, it was them bragging about this stuff at bars and people going and telling the police what they heard. So the detective went investigating. He at first kind of thought it was a joke. because I mean, like, who was going to feed somebody to their pig, or would a pig,
Right.
you know, pigs aren't going to eat that. But then it, you know, he said in the show, he said, first time I heard it, I kind of laughed it off. Second time I heard it, whatever. Third time I heard it, okay, maybe. And then the fourth time I heard it, I went and looked after it. So there
Yeah.
are many people that had heard this exact story and found it necessary to go tell the police about it. He had found out that the brothers actually, or one of the brothers actually does have large pigs or hogs. And they were really mean, and they would eat anything you put in front of them.
Yeah. Pigs do that.
Especially like feral hogs, like wild
Yes.
feral
Yes.
hogs. Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
And they are mean.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
But he had no way to prove anything. No one had actually seen the brothers get killed, and nobody was really willing to give up any sort of
Information.
I guess good information on
Yeah.
the brothers.
Yep.
So the case went cold. Eek. That makes me sad. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
That is
you
so
know.
sad. That's horrible.
After 2 years, yeah.
And especially after, like, you're pretty sure you know who did it, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Right. Yeah.
But their hands are tied. I mean, what do you do?
yeah. I mean, they have nothing.
So
Yeah.
just watch them until they do something and then bring them.
And then,
Mhm.
yes.
Yeah.
So October of 1998, the new detective named Lesniski, and he also went by Bronco. So they were like, oh, the Bronco's looking for the Bronco.
Mhm.
His
So
first
clever.
assignment, his first assignment was the missing hunters case. So how crappy I feel like. Like, give the
Mhm.
new detective
Yeah.
Yeah.
that one. Like, good luck, bro. So they had 3 large binders with all the case information in it over the years. The main points were there were 2 brothers, Coco and JR, and they were suspected to be the 2 that showed up to beat and murder David and Brian. So everybody kind of knew who did it or what kind of circle did it.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So we are kind of aware of that.
Yeah.
But there's no proof, no physical evidence, nothing. It's all circumstantial. So
Mhm.
the detective said, like, I have a great circumstantial case, but I have nothing to go off of it.
Right.
So he starts hearing a rumor that there was a woman who had actually seen the murder. And so he made a list of all the people that he knew were in contact or friends of the Duvall brothers. Bronco went to go visit a woman named Barb Boudreaux. She opened the door, immediately started shaking uncontrollably, and told the detective that he was going to be the reason she got killed. And it was like, she was like, you need to leave. She went to go shut the door in his face, and he said, this is the first time I ever did this, but I stuck my foot in the door. So she couldn't shut it.
Yeah.
He finally was able to convince her to let him come inside. And he said the look of terror in her face, letting him come in there, was terrified. Barb told him that she would tell him some part of the story, but she didn't know anything. She didn't know a lot. She didn't know all of it. And she didn't know anything that would help with his case. He didn't believe her, which I'm like, you can't be that scared when you don't know.
Right.
Oh,
Mhm.
I mean, maybe you could be. I guess I probably would be too, but he said that he just wanted her to trust him. He wanted to get a relationship with her so that she knew that he's there to help her and he is going to do what he can to fix this problem. She just wasn't very forthcoming with information. She said that everything that she would say to him was hearsay, so that way they couldn't use it in a case and the brothers wouldn't be able to abuse her over it. Which is horribly terrifying and to be that scared to say anything, especially to a detective that's there to help you, and you're like, no. So Bronco knew he had to be patient with her. He knew that she was important. He didn't know why, but he couldn't lose her. So
Mhm.
he would just little by little come back and talk to her multiple times over the span of 4 years.
Jeez.
4 years. Every time he came, he would get more and more of the story, and Barb had eventually told him that she saw the hunters the night that they were murdered. 4 years later.
4
Which I'm
years.
like, again, I get she was genuinely terrified for her life.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh my goodness. So her and her friend, Ronnie Emery, were out at a local bar. I forgot my water and I keep having to like swallow and it's like not going great. So they were out at a local bar called Linker's Lost Creek Lodge. The two hunters were standing at the bar and JR and Coco Duvall walked in and started yelling at the hunters. She knew the Duvall brothers, so she wasn't like friends with them or anything, but she, you know, town reputation, she knew them.
Yeah.
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 Mhm.
And so she knew something bad was going to happen. And she quoted said, there was going to be some ass kicking tonight. Ronnie and Barb grabbed some steaks and went back to Barb's house. So she lived less than half a mile away from the bar. So she's right down the street.
Mhm.
They started hearing men in the street yelling and cussing. And she told Ronnie that there were people fighting outside. And he said, well, let's go watch. What the hell? Why would you want to do that?
Right.
Ronnie went to go watch alone. She didn't want to go. After a short time, the yelling had stopped. Ronnie came back to Barb and said that they were beating them, and he thinks that they killed him, and they were begging for their lives.
Hmm.
She said that she could hear these ping noises that sounded like an aluminum bat hitting a softball.
Oh,
Oh no.
I know exactly what that noise is.
Ugh, it's horrific. So he's like, perfect. An eyewitness. Where's Ronnie?
Mm-hmm.
Ronnie had died at this point. So he was no longer alive.
Bro.
The hell.
So Barb was not an eyewitness, but she was the closest that they were going to get.
Mhm.
So the investigators issued a subpoena for Barb, who had to tell her story to a prosecutor. April 17th, 2003, Bronco gets on record deposition from Barb. So they are not in her house talking over the year. Like this is actually being recorded on record.
Yeah.
Near the end of her story, she stops and she says, you knew I couldn't tell you the whole story. And she stops. And she told him, she was like, I had already told you from the beginning, I couldn't tell you the whole truth. And so they stopped recording. And right when they stopped recording, she tells this whole different story.
Wow.
She had gone down with Ronnie.
Mm-hmm.
She tells him that she had watched behind a tree and that about 5 men surrounded David and Brian. JR and Coco beat them with a bat while the others watched. Okay, so this is the hard part to listen to. It's a quote from her. I typed everything that she said. Here we go. David Till was on his knees. He had already been beat because he was pretty well bloody. And he had his hands up in the air. He goes, oh my God, somebody help us. And Coco swung the bat and said, you're a dead MFer. And his head popped like a pumpkin. It sounded like you drop a pumpkin and he was down. Brian broke free and started running. They went after him and drug him back. He says, you killed my friend. You killed my friend. And then they stood him up and they said, look at that. He pissed himself. And then they threw him on the ground and proceeded to start kicking and beating him until there was no more noise.
Mm.
So those two were like best friends. Like they
Yeah.
literally
They were
grew up
brothers, yeah.
together, everything. And then he had to watch that.
Mm-mm.
And she described a few other things that I just did not find necessary to put in here. So
Yeah.
if you want to envision it, you can. But if you want to go watch the Cold Case File episode, you're welcome to do that too. So they both ran away back to Barb's house, and a little later there was a knock at the door. The Duvall brothers were at the door. They said, "You saw nothing, you heard nothing. I know you and your family, and pigs have to eat too." So after that, so since they can confirm that they said that to her, and then all of these other stories that they had heard from everybody else, they were like, cool, we got them. After that, JR and Coco are arrested for the murder of David and Brian. So they don't have a lot, though.
Right.
They have one eyewitness account, and that's all. They have no bodies. They have no car. Nothing.
Mm-mm.
So they've got to run this whole case off of one eyewitness account.
Mm-hmm.
So that summer of 2000, they are ready to call all of the Duvall brothers, family, friends, neighbors, anybody who's ever had to deal with them to give a character report for the case.
Just bring in the whole town.
The whole damn town. So they knew that they were going to get some incriminating information out of people from that night because of police, what's the word I'm looking for? Interviews that they had done with people. So they know bringing them into court, they were also going to hear that from, or the jury would hear that.
Yeah.
So once those two had been put in prison, a lot more people were feeling more comfortable to come talk.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. All of a sudden, there was a woman that appears, and her name is Catherine Slinwiski. And she was dating JR's son. She tells him about a conversation that she had had with JR in 1996. She said, this was a quote from her. He was smiling and laughing and told her that him and Coco had gone up north and were hunting a deer, and they had come across a deer they had shot. And two other guys claimed they had shot it. They got into a big fight over it. They had ended up taking the deer with them, and they ended up running into them at a bar later that night and went outside and continued to fight with them and beat them to death. And JR was extremely proud of this.
Over a deer?
Over a deer. So now they have a why, I guess. Or a
motive.
What's the
Toxic
word?
masculinity
Motive.
is the why.
Exactly. Yes. He told her that he put the bodies in a shredder and fed them to the pigs. He threatened her that he would do the same thing to her if she left his son in the home that they shared in Michigan.
What
Cool.
the hell?
What a shithead.
Yeah.
October 20th, 2003, the trial began. One woman named Connie Sundberg, who was dating Donald Duvall, which was one of the brothers, said that he had come home drunk one night and was a few months after the murder. She said he had his head in his hands. He looked up and said, they had killed somebody. He looked at her and said, "You fucking bitch," and then started smacking her around.
What the fuck?
Like, apparently it's her fault that they murdered somebody. So keep in mind that they're all having to say this stuff in court in front of those brothers, because obviously the brothers are there. At least the two that are there on trial. So that's hard. One brother had told another brother, "I never killed anyone. All I did was transport the bodies." Okay.
You were there and you transported
You
the
were
bodies.
there. You know that. Yeah. So Frank Duvall is their younger brother. And he had said some incriminating information to the police before the trial. Frank had told the police that Coco said the police were so dumb, if they found one body, they would find the other one right under it. But during the trial, when they asked him about it, he said, no, that's not what I said. What I said was I thought it was Coco's voice, but I never saw him say that.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Circumstantial.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Kenny Duvall, also a brother, they had a taped confession that said that they were stripping the truck down for parts, and he firmly believes that it was the missing hunter's truck. But during the trial, they had a video of it, and the lady's like, you said that you were stripping. No. They said that you believe that that is the missing hunter's truck, that is their truck. No. Okay.
We have you on tape.
God.
Right? Nice try.
Yeah.
Yes. And also, I'm like, you're so big, bad, and brave talking to the police, but then in front of your brothers, you're being a scaredy cat.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
During the trial, Catherine, who states that Tommy, so Tommy's JR's son, she was the one that was dating JR's son.
Mm-hmm.
Tommy did not want her to leave, so he told JR to tell her what had happened to the men. And he told her that they smashed their heads like melons. Oh, that hurts my soul. And then in like a separate interview for this show, she was like, imagine having to go to sleep that night with him on the other side of the wall. She's like, I was terrified.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, even if you convinced her to stay because you scared her to stay,
right,
that relationship's never going to be the same. She's never going to like love you or like, you know, she's going to like.
It doesn't seem like he really cares about that. Though.
I know. I'm sure.
No.
But I'm just thinking that any touch or anything, and she's going to like flinch or like, and it's just not, unless, again, like you said, he just doesn't care, but.
Like, how can you be so nonchalant about killing somebody?
Yes. And he's like, you know, I'm just imagining being like, Daddy, tell her what you did.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And him being like, all right, son. And then him just sitting, I'm sure he was just sitting there with his arms crossed, like, did you hear?
Yeah.
Did you hear? Mm-hmm.
It's like campfire stories.
Ugh, it's disgusting. I hate every part of it.
Mm.
So Barb was next, and she had to tell her entire story. They cross-examined her, obviously. And I was getting so mad. So she had admittedly had about 9 drinks that night.
Mm-hmm.
And so the prosecutor, or not the prosecutor, the defending lawyer knew that he had to try to discredit her because she was going to be the main putting him away.
They called her a drunk.
So they had to specify that they were throwing in her face how much she drank.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was like, well, the first time you had to tell the story, you didn't have to say it in front of their faces, did you? You didn't have to look in their eyes and tell them. And she said, I don't have to do that now. And he was like, and he goes, say yes or no. And then she goes, no, God damn it. And I was like, oh my God.
Oh my, this is making me mad.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so after the trial, the jury only deliberated for 2 hours.
Yeah.
That was it. 18 years after the murders. So a 2-hour deliberation, 18 years after their murders, they were given a verdict of guilty of first-degree murder. Think all things holy.
Was it just the 2 of them?
Yes.
Okay.
They were given life without the possibility of parole. Detective Bronco said he was not finished. He was not happy because there were 5 people there, according to Barb, and only 2 of them are in prison right now. And he said David and Brian deserve better. And he said to everybody that had something to do with that, and that you think that you're safe now because those two are in prison and won't come out, it's not over yet.
Right.
I'm not done yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's still fighting, I guess. I don't know. I guess that was in 2003, so it was a while ago. But
Jeez,
that's what happened to
That's
the
so insane.
poor David and Brian.
I've
I
never
can
heard
only
that.
imagine like living in a small town like that.
Right?
And like those dynamics, because living in a small town is completely like its own world. It's
Yeah.
so wild.
Yes. Well,
I
because
can
everybody knows
only imagine.
everybody.
Mhm.
You can't get away with anything. And then
Yep.
you got your few people that think they run the place, and they
Mhm.
run the place, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Oh
I
my
hate it.
God.
But I'm glad those two are
Yeah.
gone. And you know that they thought they got away with it because, I
Oh,
mean, it was
yeah.
18 years.
They
that
did. Yeah.
And so, and it was them being dumbasses and
They were
telling the
probably
whole
super
damn
smug
world
about
their
it.
whole, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And after that and everybody hearing all that, they were extra scared of them. So they're like, no, I will
Yeah.
not say anything.
That's not the first time I've heard of the pig thing before either.
I mean, I wouldn't have ever thought that would be a thing that happened, but I mean, pigs really do eat anything.
I mean, they eat.
So-
yeah.
So, yeah, you put a mashed up body, they're going to eat it.
So apparently their stomach acid can like digest anything, basically. So like bone and stuff like that people normally find, if you feed it to a pig, then it'll be digested. And if they do find something, it's like normally if you have pigs, like there's like a slaughter something near it, so
Yeah.
there's going to be blood and stuff everywhere anyways.
I wonder
So
if they
that's-
slaughtered
that makes
those
sense.
pigs
That's the like thinking
after
behind
and
the pig.
like
Where
ate them.
I don't know. I feel like I've heard of like a serial killer that used to feed people to his pigs.
Isn't it?
I feel like I've heard that too.
I want to say Robert Fish for some reason. Is that who it is?
Let me Google
From
it.
like the 30s or something?
Pause.com.
Fish. We need to do a story on Fish. That is a
Mhm.
messed up story. I
Yeah.
read a couple books about him. Albert Fish is his name.
Albert
Uh,
Fish.
It starts with an S. His last name starts with an S, the pig guy. He's from Canada or something, I think.
I know. I feel like I've heard this story on another
Robert
podcast.
Picton.
Picton. That's what it is.
Robert William
Picton.
Picton,
Oh
also
my God,
known as
yeah.
the pig farmer killer
Hello.
or
Yeah.
the butcher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
Mhm.
on my list. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
We all
yeah,
need to go
we
through each
talked
other's
about-
list
yes.
because I
Yeah.
think we all have the same things. And there's going to be one time where I'm going to start telling a story or somebody else's, and you're going to be like, God
It's
damn
true.
it, I literally had half those notes done to tell next week.
I started on the Picton story. I had to stop. But it's a lot of information. So
I think we talked
might
about
have
that, and you were
episode
like,
soon.
"I can give you my notes."
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I think we did.
Yes.
I have
But
it.
you-
even.
my notes.
I have the first half. Just do the second half. It'll be okay.
You can just be like a collab story.
Yeah.
And I'll just listen.
Exactly. Yeah.
This is so great. Love it.
So how many of the
Oh,
brothers
man.
were there? There was 5 of them altogether.
I'm not sure exactly how many there were, but there were 5 people there that night. So I'm assuming
Mm.
there were 5 of them.
And were they all
That-
were they like actual brothers, or was it like the
Mhm.
family, like the cousins and shit like that? And
No,
just
they were
called
all
them the
brothers.
I need to see a
Duvall
picture of
brothers.
them.
Yeah.
Oh, they look like your typical, and I don't mean this in a mean way. We're
Redneck.
from small town Arkansas. They look
We are.
like
Yeah.
your typical redneck folk.
Country bumpkin.
So I'd probably be attracted
Mhm.
to them then. Great.
Probably.
I have an issue. I'm sorry. Damn. That's so wild.
Oh, God.
And then the
What?
defense just like berating that woman.
Oh, God.
Mhm.
Right?
Like, I understand they were trying to do their job, but you're killing her character.
Yeah.
Right? And you know how terrified she was?
Oh, yeah. It took
That
her
I'm like, how
4
dare
years
you? It took her 4 years
to
to get
say
that
a lie.
out.
Yeah.
Like, and you know what? Good for her, because I would not
Mhm.
have been able I mean, I guess
No.
not good for her, but I would not have been able to do all that. Well, I mean, the only pictures I can find are them when they were like arrested and older. But that's Coco and JR.
Coco.
Generic white dudes.
Yeah. Ugh.
Mhm.
Gross.
Small town
That's
folk.
so fucking ridiculous.
And I was just giggling because the entire time it was like, well, this happened at a bar, and then this happened at a bar, and then that happened at a bar. And I'm like, again, those little tiny ass towns. Where
always
It's a
a
the
bar.
only thing you
town.
have to do is either drink, do drugs, or
Each other.
yeah.
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 That's true. Wow. Well, good job.
Thanks.
That was good. I've never heard that one before.
Mm-mm.
When she was telling the story, and you could tell that she's had to tell it way more
Yes.
times than she probably wants to.
Yeah.
Right.
And because she was just like totally like, what's the word I'm looking for?
Like stoic, like no expression.
stoic.
Yeah, like
yeah.
she had no,
Mhm.
like the only part that she kind of like got anywhere with was like when he was begging for his life, or he was like, you killed my
Mhm.
brother, you killed my brother, or my friend, or whatever. But I
And
was
then
like, I know.
every time she has to tell that story, she sees it again.
Yes, and she, you know, she did go into detail about what she saw, and it was
She probably,
Also,
in a
like-
way,
great.
also felt really relieved
Yeah.
after telling it.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter, like, well, it does matter how much she had to drink, but it doesn't really matter that much, because if you see something traumatic like that, you're going to remember it.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I would feel like that would automatically sober you up.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
and even if you're drunk, like it's not
And-
like you're like hallucinating, you're drunk.
No, that's
you know
a
what I
it's a
very
mean?
small
elaborate
town.
thing to make up. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a small town. Everybody knows that family. They're infamous in that town. Like, it's not like she's mistaking people.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever.
People are
That
dumb.
guy made me so mad. And you could
Yeah.
tell she wanted to so bad be like, you're a fucking piece of shit to the
Yeah.
like the guy. Like, you could just see the anger in her voice.
Yeah, I can't hide the emotions on my face, so no.
Mm-mm.
I wouldn't.
So bad.
No.
Hard pass.
Hard
Oh my god.
pass.
Mm-mm.
That's like how was she able to keep a secret like that?
Yeah.
She was terrified for her life.
I guess.
She thought she was going to get beaten to death
Mm-hmm.
and then fed to pigs.
Damn, dude.
And also, I'm like, poor Ronnie. He had to
Mhm.
live his whole life like
Yeah.
that. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't look up and see how he died, but you know, I'm sure either a lot of stress put him in an early grave or
Mhm.
something worse.
Yeah.
You know, that's a horrible
Yeah,
way
you
to
never
live.
know.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I need to watch that episode now. That
Yes.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Like,
Yeah.
I want to, but
And
I don't want to. But I'm
I know.
probably
Well,
gonna.
now that you know the story, and then you fast forward through the parts that you're like, I know what this is happening.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. The
That's
full episode is on YouTube. It's on A&E Case Files,
Mhm.
so you're welcome to watch. It was a good one. They
that was a good story.
they
Yeah.
of course made you know, the narrator has to like narrate, and the cheesy things that were said, I could not. Like the part where he was like, now the Broncos looking for the black Bronco or whatever, and I was like, oh my god, stop it.
You
This
know,
is
he
a
was he was sitting there.
murder.
Yeah, he was sitting there recording that, and he's like, nailed it.
Yeah.
People are gonna love this.
Well, it was an old one. Like you could tell it was old. Like the picture
Yeah.
quality was not great. I think it was like season 3 of Case Files, which was what, in like the 1800s.
Exactly.
So it
Yeah.
was not great. Anyway, so I'm sure people did love it. And I did kind of. I mean, it made me giggle where I was like, for real, my bro. It was pretty funny.
That's funny.
Yeah.
But now I'm like never gonna look at a pumpkin the same. Or anytime I see someone throw a pumpkin, like that's immediately gonna go in my brain.
The tinging is what
I never
is
want
stuck
to hear
with
that.
me right now.
Yeah.
Well,
'Cause I
and it's
know
like
that
you
noise.
know,
Mm-hmm.
you knew after you find out that she was there and watched it all. You knew that she was adding little things in there for them to like get the idea because she didn't
Right.
want to
Yeah.
say. I'm pretty sure they had baseball bats, but if they're
Mhm.
like, oh, but I heard this and it sounds like a baseball bat hitting a softball.
Right.
Like you know they're gonna be like, oh, so they were beating him with a
With the
baseball,
bat. Yeah.
a
Mhm.
baseball
Over a
bat.
fucking deer, dude.
Over a deer.
Over a
Yeah.
deer.
A deer.
That
How dumb.
and people say toxic masculinity isn't real.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
it's so dumb. I don't get it. Like what point? I mean, I guess, I don't know. I guess if you're raised in a point where it's like, that's just how you solve problems.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
I mean, I understand people that have grown up fighting to solve their problems. I understand that. But there's a difference between like just beating the shit out of someone. Like at a certain point, you know you're killing someone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he literally said, "You're about to die."
Exactly. Yeah.
And then hit him as hard as he could with a baseball bat.
Right. And yeah, and then like didn't let him get away. Like, yeah, it was no.
Ugh, and then could you imagine that? Like getting away for 5 seconds after just watching your friend die and then being like, fuck, they have me again.
Yeah.
And then you know, like
the terror. I would never. Mm-mm.
And also I'm like, just shoot me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Yeah,
want
just kill me.
the like
Mhm.
torture of being beat to death.
Exactly.
Ugh, I hate it.
It's
I hate
like
it so much.
those movies that like have you ever what's it called? Fresh Meat?
Mm-mm.
No.
Mm-mm.
Everyone needs to go watch it because it's amazing.
Wash it.
Wash it.
I'll go wash my fresh meat.
Wash the fresh meat. I'm trying.
Sounds like a porno.
Yeah, right.
Oh my god.
That was like, I know, I'm a 12-year-old boy, leave me alone. That was literally the first thing that popped in my head.
I'm trying to think, like, say it without giving. So basically, people are being held captive, and someone almost gets out, and then you see like the struggle of them, and they're like, "Nope, sorry, you're going back down here." Like that every single time. I can only imagine going through something like that.
Ugh, I hate it.
No.
That just, I don't know why, but that just reminded me of there's a book that we had to read. I think it was our freshman year of high school, or maybe it was just like a short story. I don't think it was a whole book, but it was about a hunter who had hunted every animal and wanted like a more like
exciting
hunt or something. And so he has a human, like a survivalist human or also a hunter, come on his little island, and then he goes to hunt the human.
I've read that. Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's horrific.
It reminds me, y'all are not going to remember this, The Pest, the movie.
Mm-mm.
John Leguizamo.
I don't know, but I love that name.
Yeah.
You don't know who John Leguizamo is?
No.
I'm trying to think of what else. He was in Romeo and Juliet.
Yes.
Well, who did he play in Romeo and Juliet?
He was the
He's a Hispanic one, right?
He's the best friend.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
The best friend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The best friend.
The best friend.
I'm just trying to think of his name.
Of Romeo.
He's like
AKA
one of the...
Is he the gay one?
No, that's Mercutio.
Yeah.
He's from Juliet's family. He's like his dad's right-hand man.
Okay, then yes, I know who you're talking about. He's got a mustache.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Not that everybody else doesn't have a mustache, but he does for sure.
I hope everyone followed that, because this is how Storm and I, like, this is how we talk about movies, and this is how we figure shit out.
Oh, Lord. Y'all, we are a hot ass mess.
Yeah, we are.
Not even deal.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure they've got it by now.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
by now,
episode,
what,
60? Is this 60?
It's 59?
No.
59?
Maybe it is 60.
I think it is.
We have our 60th episode on Deshay's birthday.
Oh my gosh. She planned it.
I did.
Okay,
did.
so
She was like, you know what? We're going to start this podcast right now.
speaking of birthdays, okay, if someone asks you, how old did you make? Do you know what they're asking you?
No.
I've never heard worded like that. Like I get it, but I've never heard it worded like that.
I don't know where I got that from, but I've said it for years. And I said it to someone the other day, and they were getting frustrated because they didn't understand what I was asking them. And I was like, how old are you? Like, how old did you, this birthday, how old are you? How do you normally say that?
How old are you?
How old are you going to be?
Yeah.
How old did you make? I don't know.
How old did you make?
That
Yes.
sounds like, that literally sounds like, you're like dyslexic. Right? Like you're just like mixing up a sentence.
Sounds like some like a
possibly very
possibly.
How old
Southern
did you
saying, like
Yes.
a Southern saying or something like that.
I love
I don't
those.
know where I got that from.
Listen, we should have an entire episode of just Southern sayings.
Yes. If anybody knows or if anybody else says how old did you make, please let me know because I know this is not just me.
I mean, it makes sense. Like I get it, but I would do a double take. Like, huh?
She was like getting frustrated because I said it 3 different times because I thought she just couldn't hear me, and then I realized, oh, she doesn't understand what I'm saying, and I was like, never mind.
I literally just Googled how old did you make, and everything's like, how much money did you make when you were 25?
Where did I learn this from? Someone has to know.
Make?
This has to be a thing somewhere.
Listen, ask Dad. I feel like
I'm sure he'll know. How old did you make?
Because that makes sense to me.
I don't think it makes sense whatsoever.
I mean, like, if you think about it, I get it. Like, how old did you make? Like, you're here now. How old did you get to?
Maybe it's because if you say it quickly,
makes sense that way. I was thinking make like make something.
Yeah,
like you were thinking, like you were like, how old were you made? But like, how old did you? It's make?
Like
now it makes sense.
You made it to this age. Like, how old did you make? That's I don't know. If you say it quickly, it's kind of like it's almost like Louisiana, kind of. I don't know.
Could be.
So this
Where
is
did I get this from?
This was what I'm reading here is that something you say like, if I was like my husband passed away, then you'd say how old did he make?
Oh, so I've just been using it wrong.
Maybe. Maybe you've been asking people how they died. Maybe you're talking to dead people.
You're talking to dead people is exactly what it is.
Well, I don't know if you guys saw the lights flashing when Storm started talking about the actual murder. So, I mean, who knows?
Oh, Lord, the Duvall brothers are here.
Exactly.
Stop it.
It's ridiculous.
Deshay, how old did you make? Do you want to tell everybody?
It's fine. 38. I will be 38 tomorrow.
It's so old.
That's so wild.
Decrepit.
I'm so I don't even feel like that I should be allowed to be 38. Like I don't feel
like you act 38. No. Yeah, like you don't act like an old lady. Sorry to anybody that is over 38. I really mean no offense. I only say that because I'm the youngest of 3, and so I have to make fun of people for their age.
I was talking to someone, he was like in his early 50s, and he was like, dude, I still feel like I'm like 25. Like it doesn't go away. It's always like this.
Yeah.
But you know what? So I don't know why, but I've always had a thing about age. Like it's just I'm terrified to get old. And so I thought, oh my God, I'm going to have like a whole moment the second I turned 30. And it wasn't too bad, but it was worse for me turning 31. Cause I was like, because I was like 30 and like, okay, I'm 30. And then it was like, no, bitch, like you're in your 30s now. Like you are 30.
Listen, just wait till you hit your late 30s, okay?
Well, wait till you turn 40.
Yeah.
Oh,
then
yeah.
what?
Yeah. I used to make a joke all the time, and then after I told a few people, they told me it wasn't funny. But like I always I never thought I would live past 30. So I woke up on my 30th birthday and I was like, well, what the hell do I do now? And I'm 34 now. So like it was just, it's weird. You don't expect to like be 30.
Yes.
It's just weird.
It is like for me, because my oldest is 19, as you know. So when I was his age and I had him, Mom was my age now.
Yeah.
So
could you imagine being a grandma right now?
No, I'm like, I am so sorry.
Wild.
You gave Mom a complex.
Exactly. Yeah.
For real.
Oh Lord. Could you imagine being 38 and being like, I'm a grandma?
And you were like 12, and
I was 12.
I remember that. I remember all of it. It's just so full circle and weird.
I remember you taking us to that Burger King and sitting us
I
down.
I didn't go.
No, I think it was just you.
It was just
yes. Yeah. And then you told me later, and then you went to go to the bathroom, and I looked at Sage and I was like, we're gonna be uncles. And then I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
I was
uncles.
12.
Yeah.
Cute story. That's a fun thing to remember. But you know what I also think about, because I think about like, you know, being a young mom, and I'm like, I think about Eli, and I'm like, you were way too young to have a, like, what were we thinking?
I know,
we weren't, obviously, but yeah. But I'm like, I think about kids, and people even now will be like, I'm 25, and I'm like, oh, you're a baby, you know, and I'm like, don't have kids ever.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wait until you're 47. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I think now, and I'm like, I'm 31 and I have 3 kids, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it was so tiring being pregnant with Madeline, and it's so tiring now where she's like, Mommy, play with me, and I'm like, you know, because I'm old, and I'm like, I can only imagine like starting to have kids at this age.
Yeah,
it's like Baby Mama, the surrogate lady. Yeah. You're so old. I love that movie.
That's a good one.
It's so good.
I haven't seen that forever.
No,
she's amazing.
It's in there. And she's trying to give her the prenatal vitamin. And you just know I can't stick it up your butt.
Oh my God.
And when she's doing the karaoke and she has the bleach in her hair and she pulls her into the shower, she's like, I am clean. I love that movie. I quote that movie a lot. There's one quote that I say a lot. Anytime anyone mentions the artist DMX, you know, DMX, there's a part in the movie and he's like, well, if you listen to DMX, when you're pregnant, your baby's going to come out going, her. And I was like, I say that a lot, and I don't know why, but that is the one quote.
People that are like not even pregnant or like can't get pregnant or anything.
It's just my fun fact. Like, no one's pregnant. No one's talking about pregnancy or anything. That's just my my cool bar trick.
That's funny,
y'all. Oh, sorry. Last thing. I know we keep making this go on and on. I went to a podcast live show this past weekend. Oh my God, it was so much fun. And I was like, holy shit, we need to get popular enough to do a live show because they were so fun. And you could tell like they loved it. Granted, they're like actual comedians. And so they were like comedians before they got famous podcasting and stuff. So like they were used to being on a stage. But oh my gosh, it was so fun. I loved it.
That sounds awesome.
So I'm like, everybody share all the things so that we can become podcast famous and do a live show. Thank you.
Like, comment, share, and press that bell.
To get notifications. It's right down here.
Stop, God. I always say, welcome back to my channel is like what I think about saying every single time. And so now Rainey says it all the time. Anytime.
She's like, welcome back to my channel.
It's because when people
And
walk in the
that's-
door, I'm like, if I'm not looking at them, then I'll say, oh, welcome in. And she's like, welcome back to my channel. And I'm like, okay.
Shut up.
I get it.
Stop it.
I understand. I get it. I would do the same thing. All right.
Oh,
Enough of us
man.
rambling.
Mhm.
Storm, where can they find us if they want to hear more rambling?
We're on YouTube.
Mhm.
YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm not going to forget this time. We're on the tubes. Go like, subscribe, and press the bell for notifications.
So we don't get lost on the internet.
YouTube just doesn't like to share us. They've ghosted us, so you have to press that little bell so you get notifications. But we are on Facebook, Three Siblings Walk Into a Bar. We are on Instagram at 3SWIB Podcast. Go on there, like, comment, do all the things. We love when you guys interact with us. Also, please rate and review. It is very, very helpful for us, especially on Apple, because they are a little picky. And yeah.
All right. Well, that's what happens when three siblings walk into a bar.